Good afternoon to everyone. Within few minutes, our expert will be there and will start our first lecture soon. In the meantime, few of our international other experts are also there. So I'm saying hello to Lazario Floredo. Hello, sir. Are you there? Please unmute yourself. Are you listening?
Hi, morning. Yeah, it's okay. Before I had a big problem, a big issue with the internet probably or connection.
Okay. I got it. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Wait. Now.
I just want to inform all the participants that Dr. Lazaro will take the lecture. So just for the information, we received 1050 registrations for this lecture one. So it's huge because we were expecting not even half of it. So in the meantime, someone is not able to join it. Please excuse us, and very soon we'll ensure that the future lectures will be available live on our official YouTube and Facebook channels. Welcome back. So Dr. Vipita Lal Nair is here. Please unmute yourself so that we'll be able to listen to you. Dr. Vipi.
Thank you, Jeet. I am unmuted already.
Wait, we are not able to.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
So shall we start?
Yes, we can.
Shall we start now? Good afternoon to everyone from India and Namaste. So today I'm feeling privileged to welcome Dr. Vipita Lal Balakrishna Nair as an expert, and she'll delivering the lecture on the topic role of religious tourism and pilgrimage in the revitalization of Indian tourism sector post COVID-19.
Thank you, Jeet. I thank you everybody to give this opportunity.
To conduct this international web lecture series, and recently the Honorable Minister of Tourism has inaugurated this international web lecture series. Now I'm inviting Director IITTM Professor Alok Sharma ji to please come and say few words to motivate us and to guide us. Sir, please.
Welcome everybody here. It's very nice. We just finished the inaugural session, and Minister of Tourism inaugurated it. It was a proud moment for the IITM, and credit goes to Jeet that he has talked about the international resources in this field. And I think we are curious to listen Dr. Vipita Lal and other views and opinions of the International Faculty of Tourism. So we can also have, we will become a one community, and we can go further and we will deal the common problems which the tourism department is facing. So we have just finished the big lectures and inauguration session. So it's now the time for the academia and to listen the things related to contentful things. So I am just telling again to Jeet Nugra to please conduct the program now. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words, guidance and motivation to start this international web lecture series. Now, we are also having our nodal officer, IITTM Gwalior, is also with us, and with the permission, I'm also inviting. But before that, let me just share one statistics with you that we are having 1,000 participants room for this to attend that lecture, but right now the registration has crossed 3,000 and now it's reached to nearby 1,100.
As we know, due to this crisis, tourism, travel and allied sector is facing hardships. People, they are fearsome, unable to come out. At this moment, these international lectures will help us, will guide our students to think about the industry, to come out with crisis management, to have and develop confidence. It's a great initiative under the able leadership of Director IITTM. My best wishes for this event. I want to sum up with 2 lines. Walk on the rainbow trail, walk on the rainbow trail, walk on the trail of song. All about future will be beauty, all about future.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words, and that will really guide us to proceed for that lecture and to complete the International Web Lecture Series. Now, with the permission, I'm introducing Dr. Vipitalal Krishna Nair, our first speaker of his first lecture. Dr. VP Nair, as we are not using that the longer name, so we are using the VP Nair word. So Dr. VP Nair currently working as a professor at SOI International School Hospitality Management Department, Wusong University, South Korea. She is a transdisciplinary researcher in tourism studies with particular interest in post-colonialism and colonial nostalgia, in world-making normalizations, and in creative management and development practices in the representation of peoples and places. She has done her education from the UK and the major research work in that area. So I'm so privileged to welcome her on the behalf of Director IITTM and the whole IITTM fraternity and the whole Indian tourism stakeholders. I'm welcoming her on this platform to deliver a lecture, and I hope we'll definitely get new insights related to the lecture that she's gonna talk in that particular thing, and then we'll come out with some new ideas, so that will again help us during and post COVID-19. So now I'm welcoming Dr. Nair. Please come and start your lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeet, for this warm, honored speech. I'm very thankful for the initiative from IITM and especially the director and Dr. Jeet Durga for inviting me for participating in such amazing event. So, with your permission and with your blessings, I am going to start my presentations. And I would like to mute all the participants' voices to avoid any kind of technical glitches in between. If you have any questions, kindly coordinate with the organization team, or you can ask us directly after the presentations. So, today we are going to discuss about the role of religious tourism and pilgrimage in the revitalization of Indian tourism sector post COVID-19. Some of you may feel wonder why we are selected religious tourism and pilgrimage, because there are many other well-known tourism forms are there for India. For example, you may have wellness tourism, famous wellness tourism activity we have, and environmental tourism, and we have other kinds of adventure tourism activity. Then still, why we are going to select religious and pilgrimage tourism as a strategy for the revitalization of Indian tourism after the post-COVID. So we have hundreds of reasons for that. First of all, I would like to tell you, India is the land of gods and goddesses. India is an ancient civilization. It's the cradle of cultures and birthplace of 4 major religions in the world. We cannot travel for tourism in India without feeling the essence of religiousness, without feeling the vibrance of culture, without doing the religious cultural practice of rich Indian heritage and culture. As Vivekananda Swami told us that India is a land of religion. So, at this pandemic, we have to start with our most potent, strengthful element to revive our sector. As you know, reviving tourism is reviving an economy. We have to, as an academician, as a practitioner, as a stakeholder, it is our responsibility to support our nation. So I am taking this privilege as an Indian citizen, as a proud Indian citizen, to take religious tourism and pilgrimage as a strategy for revitalizing Indian tourism after COVID-19. So, there are some specific reasons I would like to share with you for the selection of religious tourism. Their magnitude, scope, amalgamation, and dimensions. I know the theoretical fragile line between the spiritual and religious tourism, but because of the special, unprecedented situation of pandemic, I am, with my knowledge, I am forgetting that fragile lines. Theoretically, it's spirituality and religion, its academicians consider it's a different fragments. But at this situation, I would like to combine everything under the umbrella of religious tourism destinations. Religious tourism. So, for the selection of religious tourism, the magnitude of religious attractions and religious products in India is amazing. We need to use that potential for the revitalization of the industry after this pandemic. And the scope, it's incredible. Wherever you are going, you can feel religious tourism segment in it. If you are going to Himalayas, you can feel an adventure religious tourism. If you are going to feel a metropolitan city and finding a religious sites there, you are a part of urban tourism. If you are going to Goa to understand the very famous basilica there, you are a part of a colonial tourism. So it's everywhere. The magnitude of religious sites and attractions is amazing and incredible for India. And also, it is an amalgamation of tourism. Think about our ancient temples. Those are the perfect examples of Indian heritage and architecture. Think about our yoga. It's deep-seated within our religious culture and beliefs. And the dimensions of religiousness is far beyond India. Since it's a land of 4 major religions, it's a part of the faith to visit these religious sites once in a while. India needs to use this opportunity to revitalize it, especially in terms of Buddhism. There are a lot of South Asian counterparts. They are fast spreading Buddhism. It's part of our private politics now, Southeast Asia policy. We have to combine all these policies under the framework of revitalization and use these kind of activities to coordinate. Now, it's a time to think about the strategies for the post-COVID-19 era, the new normal. As you know, this pandemic brings us something irreversible. Something happened in the world. We cannot back to the normal. There is something dangerous. We have to follow some kind of regulations. So we are now in the new normal. We have to follow these guidelines. We have to adapt it. We have to show some flexibility while we are trying to restore it. Before moving to this session, I have to kindly remind you that India is still under the crisis. We are not passed through it. It's under the crisis. This is known as on-stage crisis. There is 2 other stages according to the Flocker's principles. We have restoration phase and resilience phase. We are thinking religious tourism as part of recovery and renaissance. So, I am suggesting 5 main points as a strategy. That is back to future thoughts. Aim, promote, relaunch, reform, and collaborate. Aim for the local market to promote staycations and micro-holidays, promote safety to tourists, relaunch religious tourism products, reform existing packages, and collaboration with shared attractions. We are going to see these each point after one slide. Before starting, I would like to request somebody is doing scribbling on the share screen. Please do not do that. Kindly stop it. This is not a time to play around. Please kindly stop it.
Ma'am, there is an option. You can stop annotation.
I cannot do that because I tried it. It's not allowing me to do that.
It's a request
Yeah,
to
it is
all the members.
activating now. It is activated now. Thank you. But
It's a request.
I'm sorry.
Please don't do all these things.
Okay, thank you.
Control now.
Because it's hiding the view. So I will start from here.
To annotations and switch it off.
Yeah, I find it. Okay. Thank you. I expect your cooperation, participants. Please do that. So I am showing you 5 points. We are going to see each point, each details from the coming slides.
Yes, you can continue.
Okay. So we are starting with local travel, traveling locally. Use the advantages of domestic tourism. Promote staycations. What is meant by staycations? Staycation is just opposite to vacations. Vacation means traveling abroad. We are staying some places in foreign areas, overseas destinations for a long period of time, maybe 1 week or 2 week time, and enjoying. But nowadays, because of the pandemic, staycation is increasing. That means traveling within the nearby places. It's in domestic areas. Because of the travel restriction, international travel bans, and due to the new health passport system. For every country, they have new rules. If we are almost all the countries ban the tourists now, and the sector is under ground zero. And for some countries, if they are allowing it, they need some health passport. That means they need some kind of health checkup before entering that country. So this is a time to promote staycations in India, to revitalize our domestic tourism. It will gear towards the domestic market, and less frequently visited religious destinations may benefit from the demand or less crowded place. Believe me, India has many places. They are less frequently visited, less crowded sites, religious attractions. It's the responsibility of local bodies to identify those areas and keep the sector alive with those activities. I am always keep reminding you about the domestic tourism. Why we need to do that? Because the recent studies about pandemic and tourism showing that there is a huge tendency for domestic tourism, and domestic tourism is going to revive very soon before other kinds of international travel. This is mainly because of the travel ban. The recent studies conducted by Smith in 2020, they suggested that around 10% this country is an overseas study. Around 10% of participants, they are saying that they are afraid to travel. Maybe they are afraid of death or infections. Or some saying that doesn't matter, I will go for holiday abroad. Mainly this is considering about youngsters. They are not worrying about the rules of regulations. They said, okay, we can do that. Still some percentage are saying that they are not decided. But look at the huge, amazing amount of people. There are more than 70% saying that, yes, I will go to domestic places. I am interested in domestic travel. This is the area we need to use to revitalize the tourism sector. We need to find out somehow, some ways, because religious tourism can do miracle in that. According to Ministry of Tourism India, close to 60% of domestic tourism in India is religious It is directly or indirectly related to religious tourism. Therefore, staycations, promoting staycations, finding out the less frequent hidden gems, religious sites, cultural practices is very important to revive the sector. Okay. The next point is to promote safety to tourists. Travel safety will be much more important from now on. The fear of proximity between people and crowding needs to be avoided in religious sites. I believe this will be a great challenge for Indian tourism sector, especially for the religious, pilgrimage, cultural tourism. Because it's the culture of India that we celebrate much more. We are crowding its social practices. Our festivals are like a vibrant form of social practice. Wherever Indian religious celebration is going on, wherever the Indian sites that it's a form of mass tourism. You can see a form of mass people gathering in religious sites. This is the real challenge for India. So even we need to think about some kind of hygiene, PPE, distancing, physical and social distancing, and we may need to think about some strategy like carrying capacity, limiting the visitations at a particular time, especially to the famous popular temples like Tirupati or Vaishno Devi temples or other Dargah or Velangani church, limiting the pilgrimage or the religious tourists at a single time to control the mass activity and to follow the guidelines of social and physical distancing. Okay. Remember, this is a time for tourism, saying that survival of the safest will be the motto for the future. Which destination is going to promote and prove themselves as the survival of the safest destination, come via the safest place, then it is predicted that tourists will go into that. You always need to aware about that tourism is a competitive industry. There are millions and thousands of opinion of options available for each tourist. It is the responsibility of the governing bodies and other stakeholders to promote and market the destination as one of the safest places. Survival of the safest. We need to keep all these mandatory regulations to avoid the COVID-19 pandemic spreading. Because there is still, scientific world is still in uncertainty. So there is a prevention, it's only the cure there. So this is one of the steps we need to take care about it. One is the current strategy to avoid mass gathering. We can use the technology instead, like the Golden Temple using currently now. They are live streaming their daily pujas and other rituals through social media. This is just to make the sector live. It is alive now in case of other international religious faiths followers. They are watching it. They want to visit the country, but they cannot go because of the travel banning. But this kind of actions, they are helpful for the activities. So it is a responsibility of those elites, famous destinations like Vaishno Devi or Tirumala Tirupati Temple or other Dargahs or Velangani Church. They can be a pioneer of these activities. They can do some kind of social media or technological innovations. They can do virtual offerings, or they can do starting some kind of maybe some kind of luxury travels like South Africa doing currently now. They are allowing the wildlife tour for 10 selected elite members. This may be say it's a discrimination in terms of money, but this is just keep the sector alive, make the presence, because there is thousands of other options available for future tourists. Okay, so make and promote India as the safest destination. So beware, always India is still on the crisis. It will take time to resolve all these things. The next strategy is to relaunch religious tourism product. If you see the titles in the blue color, they can say micro holidays. Actually, the real term is micro holiday. That is a small break designed for local religion sites. We can use that. And this is only 1 or 2 days travel. like everybody, like Indians. If Indians can understand, which is much better. We are traveling to religious sites for 1 or 2 days to other states. Be there, do the offerings, and enjoy the trip, and go to the surrounding other tourism attractions, and they will come back. These trends need to be relaunched through different kinds of a new type of innovative tourism product. Here, I would suggest to use our green zones. There are, according to Indian government, they are classified as places and the states based on the severity of COVID-19 pandemic. So that is red, orange, and green. Here we can use the green zones to begin with. They are at safer zone, so the local bodies, the state tourism organizations can start something like this to identify some of the less frequent visited, less crowded, yet attracting religious sites or activities. They can promote through some other ways and attract tourists to visit the destinations, and we can make some strategy to encourage the tourism sector, because currently the sector is at ground zero standstill due to pandemic effect. The another strategy I would like to share with you, maybe useful for Indian tourism, is the reform the existing packages. Remember, adaptability will be the key of success for the future. Who is adapting the changes? Who is flexible with the pandemic restrictions, and who can do it very fast? Who is surviving these things? Who is innovative that is going to be successful? Adaptability means we need to adapt the situation according to situations. Currently, for Indian tourism, there are two main packages it's going for, both religious and spiritual tourism. That is Swadesh Darshan program and Prasad. In terms of Swadesh Darshan scheme, it would involve construction of infrastructure around tourist places under the sphere of 15 themes like Buddhist circuit, Krishna circuit, spiritual circuit, and Ramayana circuit. Maybe we need to slightly recreate, reform, or transform this plan based on the attractions we identified. We may need to recreate it. We may need to select some other, swap some of these sites because of some of the regions like Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra is under severe pandemic. So we can take some other destinations in Northeast region. They are considered to be safe zone, and we can continue the scheme with them. We can add some more locations as in the form of Swadesh Darshan scheme, and we can help the tourism industry to promote that destinations after post-COVID. This is not a time to keep silent. This is a responsible time to do something, to innovate something. And as in the form of Prasad scheme, the same. Prasad scheme means pilgrimage, rejuvenation, and spiritual augmentation drive scheme that is centered on building and beautifying recognized pilgrim spaces. We may need to go to some other options based on the pandemic severity and do the same with Swadesh Darshan scheme. This is to prepare our industry to relaunch as soon as possible after the pandemic finish. Still uncertainty, but hope for the best. Doing strategies is always better. We may have plan A, plan B, or plan C. Based on the circumstances, we need to get ready our resources because this is a very competitive field. Then the next one, last but not least, is the collaboration. I would say this is the most important one, especially at this time of crisis. As I said earlier, Indian religiousness is deep-seated. We cannot avoid, is it yoga or Ayurveda or whatever innovative scheme, there is a touch of religiousness, there is a touch of spirituality and Indian culture in it. We all aware about some intentional, purposive dealing of yoga and Ayurveda from Indian religiousness background in the national level. They want to promote something like a secular yoga or secular Ayurveda. This is not possible. This is a time to counteract. This is an opportunity, as our Honorable Prime Minister told us in inauguration speech. This is an opportunity for us to promote as that yoga is a part of Indian culture. It is not possible to de-link yoga without Indian religious background. It is deep-seated. It's a part of Indian culture and heritage. So use this time as an opportunity to promote. And as in Ayurveda, and yoga is one of the well-established framework of India. So we can use the technological virtual background, because for the Ayurveda and yoga there is no need to come here because the standstill, the international ban and travel restrictions. We cannot expect anybody can come here at the right stage. So it's time we can promote some kind of activities with yoga through using virtual background. We can promote without any kind of economic benefits, but we can still promote to make the presence, to keep the presence of India in the international market, and get ready with some other innovative product after the pandemic. So we always think about what stage India is going on. India is on crisis stage. We have to think about what we can do now. The stakeholders, government bodies, academics and practitioners, we have to think about it. We can promote these kind of activities. And after the COVID, we can come with some kind of innovative product with combining everything. India is an umbrella destination. Promote India as a safest, and like a post-disaster marketing, we can collaborate everything, and also we can collaborate different stakeholders. It is always better to show unity is strength, other than we are spreading everything around. Now is the time. It's an opportunity to collaborate everything under the umbrella of religious tourism or Indian tourism to make the things better, to promote, to keep the industry alive, and it definitely very helpful for Indian industry. So we are going to finish this lecture. There is no storm lasts forever. Be ready for a post-COVID era. There is no storm in the world is going to be last forever. There is some end. Scientific community is working. Even the genetic mutation of the virus is going to happen. Even the China, Wuhan, this was the potential hotspot of spreading element of COVID-19 pandemic. It is now a famous dark tourism destination. Inspired from these activities, we can think about crisis, what we can make to contribute the sector to make it alive. And also it is a time to make all our weapons ready for the post-COVID era. We can either reform, we can aim the local market, we can promote staycations, micro holidays, creative, collaborative products we can make, and make everything ready. There is no time left. If we are not ready yet, the tourists have a lot of other options available to go. Okay, this is my presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepika Nair, for your wonderful and informative presentation. Now, the next session is we'll take the questions one-to-one, as I'm seeing in the chat, and there are plenty of questions over there, and it is my request to all the participants that we'll take few questions, but doesn't mean that we are not answering to your queries. We have noted down everything, and in a detailed report that we will upload within day or two at our official website iittm.ac.in, you will get the report. Now I'm sharing the few important questions by the participants, and then the expert, including me, we are having a nodal officer also there, director sir is also there, so we'll be able to try to find the possible solutions for that. Just a second. I hope everybody is seeing the slide. So these are the few questions. Dr. VP, can you read, and one by one we'll proceed. The first question is luxury tourism that important in India, although that is session on religion and pilgrimage, but if you want to try, so you can. Please, over to you.
Oh, thank you, Shiva Hirau, for asking this question. That is wonderful question. I appreciate it. Yes, there is nothing unimportant at this time. We need to try everything. This is a matter of survival. We can do luxury tourism even with different kinds, especially with wellness and religious tourism. Every country is trying to innovate something like that. Last week, if you listen to the tourism news, you can see South African areas, they have started luxury tourism with wildlife tourism. They are doing a chartered flight to South Africa to take in 10 tourists, luxury tourists, to visit the area with all the luxuries. So I believe it is important for India as well to make. We have to go along with the stream. We have to be innovative and prove our efficiency to renovate our product. I think I answer you, Shiva. Jeet?
There are
Can I
few
move to
questions
question
which
number
are
2?
repeated. Like if you're talking about question number 2 and the question number 9 is there. So the question is like limiting the mass tourism for distancing, though they are contradictory, and then how can we celebrate or we manage the Kumbh Mela? That is again one of the questions. So basically we are talking about the mass tourism. Like previously at every religious site, specifically in India, we are seeing that mass tourism movement is there. So the question is centered around like how can we deal with that? Like what should be our probable strategies when we're talking about managing the mass tourism at our prominent religious sites? Dr. Bibi, please.
Yes, that's a good question actually. Because mass tourism, Indian religious tourism is always linked to mass tourism because of the nature, the characteristics of festival, celebration and social practice and rituals. That's why I said this should be a real challenge for India, especially at the crisis stage. This is not suggestive around the world for mass gathering. So what they are doing now around the world, they are limiting the number of persons. We need to do the same. We may need to allow a particular number of visitors to the religious site on a particular time. Then keep intervals for hygiene and sanitations. Take the visitors' health, like temperature check before entering the sites. Then we need to do all the other documentations. And this is a horrendous job actually. But we can start something like that, limiting the visitations, like thinking about carrying capacity limitations, and also we can do some virtual kind of offerings. We can split the religious sites into zones, inner zones, and middle zone and outer zones. We can limit the number of pilgrims at a time through the pass, through the health check, through all the PPEs like masks, sanitization, etc. But at this stage of crisis, it is not at all recommended. And post-COVID, we have to wait it. For scientific community, if they have come up with vaccines, there should not be any problem. If there is nothing, a situation like that, because of the uncertainty, we have to follow these kind of activities. Like carrying capacity, limiting visitations, health checkup before that. Mass tourism will be a difficult one, I would say, at the time of crisis. It is very difficult to say anything on mass tourism. It is not possible because of the health, safety first. Thank you, Jeet.
Thank you, Dr. VP. I'm just compiling the major keywords or questions that the participant has asked. So I think rest of the areas we already have covered. There is one question number 4. So can you see that question number 4? Like, we're talking about health collaborate for the growth of
Ayurvedic medicine.
Yeah, that is one question. And talking about the Ayurvedic treatment, that is what our age-old
Yeah. That's the same thing we discussed under the section of collaboration. We have to collaborate with health industry for other such kind of medical treatments. We can we can help those kind of demands. We can meet the demands by using some kind of virtual, using technological, using Zoom or other kind of platforms to offer the Ayurvedic medical, like online consultations. We need to start it for Ayurveda. We need to drop, at least we need to just take it some time for some patients. They need to really come to India, do some kind of Panchakarma, other therapeutic work with Ayurveda. We can just postpone for it because of the time being. Then we can take it. Some other kind of patients, they are really want to communicate in terms of medications. We can do that. We can send medicines with them, do online consultations. We need to create a platform, like maybe like an app with Arogya Setu app. We can do some kind of mobile app, but we need collaboration. We need to collaborate between tourism, between culture, between health. Then we can identify and meet the demand of medical tourism in India. I believe many countries are doing so, especially Morocco. They are doing some kind of activities, virtual consultation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bipin. I think rest of the questions we already have covered. So now question number 7 is there. So domestic tourism, like that is the need of the hour, and then inbound and outbound would suffer most. Definitely domestic tourism, that will be our strength, specifically post COVID-19. So on that, if you would like to say a few words related to question 7, so that is the last thing that we require now.
2 seconds, please. Let me read the question. Question number 7, right?
Yes, question number 7.
Okay. This is actually it's a big question to answer, because this is not only in India, it's everywhere in the world. The entire world is suffered due to pandemic. Even in South Korea, around 3,000 more jobs, around 60% of the job become redundant because of the pandemic. And as you know from the reports of World Tourism Organizations, tourism and hospitality industry is the most suffering ones, and people are losing the jobs, and we have to adapt about the situation right now. I don't believe Ministry of Tourism can pay somebody to visit, but there can be some schemes like Greece is doing. They are giving some incentives to the passengers. They are coming to visit some destinations. But as far as at this time of crisis, while seeing the crisis, our country is suffering, I am not thinking about giving tourists, to give money to them, to give them incentive to visit. I suggest to wait until the storm finish. Then I believe there is some kind of activities, and let the industry, let the country revive. Domestic tourism is not that pricey, I think. Okay, this is around the world, the same is going to happen. I agree with your question. Everybody's pocket is nearly empty, and there is lot of issues, jobless people. But there should be, this is an unprecedented situation. So maybe in future, the government of India the world make some kind of policies for this. And I hope, I think I answer you everything. This is a difficult question to answer because this is very personal. Some people have money, let them travel. That's only the answer.
Yes, definitely. These are the things with these words, and we'll conclude with that question answer sessions. Now, I'm inviting Dr. Saurabh Dixit, Nodal Officer, IITTM Gwalior, to conclude the session and also present a vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Jeet. It was a very informative lecture by Dr. Vipila Kyutithala. She spoke about Prasad Circuit, spiritual tourism, how India has got potential for spirituality and pilgrimage tourism. She spoke about situation during the pandemic in India, as well as across the world. Viewers, they asked many good questions. It is a sign that people, they were thinking about tourism in India. I hope in coming days we will have fruitful discussions like today. I thank invited speaker Dr. B.P. Thala. I thank Honorable Director IITTM, Professor Alok Sharma ji. I thank Dr. Jeet Dogra, Mr. Dheeraj, Mr. Prince, and all technical experts with him. They extended their support to make today's great event in which more than 1,000 people participated virtually from different countries. We are very, very thankful to all of you. We are meeting again next Saturday. Till then, think about tourism, tourism, tourism. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saurabh Dixit, Nodal Officer, IITTM Gwalior. Now, just an information, the next lecture will be on June 20th, 2020 at 13 hours Indian Standard Time, and Professor Lazaro from University of Malaga, Spain, he'll take the lecture, and the major specific topic is airline branding. With these words, now I'm inviting Director IITTM to shower his blessings and say a few words that will motivate us, and with that we will conclude this session. Sir, Director sir.
Thank you very much, Jeet. It was a nice session talking to BP. BP's presentation was very nice, and I was not thinking that I will be available for whole time, but you have contributed well. You have contributed very good people from the world of tourism field, and it's a really good contribution at the time of lockdown and COVID period. So we all are at one platform talking to each other, thinking about the problems and searching the solutions. And no doubt that all the brains will come and think about the solution. We will get creative, innovative ideas and we will revive the problem, revive the industry, tourism industry especially, and it will grow in a new shape with new ideas, in a new everything will be quite innovative. So I'm leaving again, and I will to all the experts to give different ideas to face this situation, this pandemic, and we are waiting all the experts. What they will say, it will be documented by Jeet, and we will send it to everybody. And no doubt, it will be something is good is going to happen. So all the best to everybody, all the best to Jeet and team, and to IITTM people who are involved in this technical team of it, and experts, and we are thankful to the experts, especially Dr. BP. Whenever BP will come in the India, we will like to call her in the institute also for her special lectures to interact with the students, and it's all good. Thank you.
Now, the next lecture will take by the Dr. Lazaro, and I'm seeing his face over there. He just on his video. Hello, sir. How are you? Please unmute yourself. And I just want to tell to everyone, he's doing Namaste. I think the world is learning this gesture. That is so nice of you. And the next lecture will be on June 20th, and the information within day or two will upload on the website iittm.ac.in. And I'm also thankful to all the IITTM faculty and staff members, to all the family members of IITTM. And now special thanks to all the tourism fraternity. We all are a family, and we have to be together to come out of this pandemic and we'll definitely, with the help of these lectures, we'll conclude and we'll explore that policies or the strategies. And special thanks to our Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, because the ministry is so supportive to us for organizing such kind of events in IITTM. With these words, I'm not taking too much time. I'm so thankful, and with this word, we'll conclude the lecture number 1 today. And thanks. Stay safe and stay hygienic. See you next time soon. Namaste.
You,
want to please-
let's pray.
Thank you, Dr. BP. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. BP, for the wonderful presentation. On behalf,
Sir, thank you.
yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Yes, Mr. Lazaro, you are saying something.